everyone, this is Eileen from Eileen Stuffs, and today we are going to be doing a video I've kind of been dreading. We're going to do an updated debt confessions, which is the credit card edition, and we're really going to focus on where my credit card debt is now and create the snowball plan, because 2023 for me is definitely the year of the debt snowball. I did attempt it last year, but then I stopped to focus on the emergency fund, and now I need to get in the groove. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. I am a cash budgeter and stuffer here on YouTube. I am working on paying off debt as well as building up my emergency and sinking funds. If that is something that interests you and you haven't already, please consider subscribing below. Okay, so I did something different this time, and I have been really focusing on my personal credits, but I decided to add the 2 credit cards I have that I will tend to use for my business expenses. Since I am a contractor, so I tend to use these cards a lot for stuff I need for work or items or assessments. And I had the realization that these 2 are also starting to get high, and I think in order to get the full picture of what's going on with my credit, I needed to throw them in the mix, which means we're going up from 6 to 8. We are going to use my budget book. So this book was pretty great because it does have a whole debt payoff session, and then it kind of goes and tells you about, just really brief, what's the difference between the snowball method and the avalanche method. If you don't quite know, the debt snowball method is when you pay off your smallest debt first and then you move so on and so forth up to your largest debt. I think one of the biggest benefits of the debt snowball, you're hitting milestones faster. It's so you get that satisfaction of watching your smaller debts kind of fall away first. So it gives you that motivation to keep going. And then the debt avalanche method, here it says where you focus on paying the debt with the highest interest rate first, because that is another thing to think about with debt, is that the higher interest card means the more money you're going to spend overall. Is it really worth it to pay the smaller amounts if you're paying extra on a high interest card? So those are the 2 basic methods. And I guess another method, which I don't know if it has a name, would be to basically do like an opposite debt snowball, where you focus on the biggest debt first so you can knock that down a little. And I've been really torn about how to do this, but I think I am going to stick with the debt snowball method. And we are going to, I like this page. It gives you an overview of the debts. It can list them in order, the balances where we're starting. So we'll fill this out, and then I like how you can check the payoff as you go through. I think that'll be kind of helpful, especially hopefully I can pay off these little ones within the next several months. And then you do get a tracker for each card. I have a plan for this on how I'm going to add the snowball payment. So before we get into it, I just want to give a brief rundown of the things I know to be true. Number 1 is I have definitely added debt despite my intentions not to. I think it's just something that I have to acknowledge. I did talk about that a little on my channel, that I had used my credit card throughout the year. In March, I ended up using it for hotels when I was on my road trip. In September, I had to use it for stuff that came up for my OT license. Sometimes there's just random things that happen where I don't have my debit card. Maybe it was floating around in a different bag or pocket, and I'm like at a store and all I have is my credit card. And that's my fault. Then I'm adding the business debt, so I know that's going to add. So I think for me, if as hard as this is, sitting down with the reality is just really the best first step, because then I can kind of get all these numbers out of my head, get a plan down, and then know what I'm working towards. And the second thing I know to be true is that I don't want to give like one specific debt snowball number. I think because my paychecks vary, I decided to make myself a variable range. So my snowball payments, I wanted to try to vary. The lowest I'd like to pay on a snowball would be 25 extra. And I like to go up to as much as 100 just to get started. We'll get into all that. First, we're going to list out the debts, look at the balances, add up our total, and see what the damage is and what I need to do to get myself in gear. If you watched my last debt confessions, you'll know that I coded my credit cards. And this is more just for privacy's sake. I didn't want to list out all my credit cards. I think privacy is something we have to think about a little when we're on YouTube. That is why from now on, you will just see these listed as the credit card numbers, but I do know what cards they are. Okay. So you got a sneak peek. So our first credit card, we're just going to put as credit card 1. That balance as of today is $572.50. I do know the interest on this one is 28.99. And I didn't have all the minimum payments for these. I get my cards this month and pay the bills, I'll be able to write down the minimum payment, but these are just the basics of what I'm looking at. Credit card number 2, sitting at $624.64. This one has an interest of 29.99. So as you guys can see, the credit card interests I have are just huge. Do know that this one I pay $30 a month on. Number 3, my third credit card is sitting at $896.57. I did not get the interest. I'll have to look that up on a bill. Credit card 1 and credit card 3, I'm going to star them because these are actually the ones that like I said, I mostly use for my business expenses. But as you see, they're racking up as well. And I looked at them today. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably include them because that's another like $1,300. So let's get real here, Eileen. Like, we need to pay these off as well. It would be really nice with my business to get to the point where I don't have to use my credit card for things, that I have the money in my business account. So then we have credit card 4. This one is carrying a balance of $940.68. And I know the interest on this one is 29.75. These aren't so bad, right? I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad. And a good debt snowball could, possibly even pay this one off by April or March. But then we're going to get to the big one. So now we have credit card 5. This one is $2,199.08. Credit card 6 is $2,395.86. The interest is 29.24. Okay, 2 more, you guys. We have credit card 7. This one is big. I was kind of surprised. It's $5,023.16. The interest is 21.40%. And then credit card 8. So let's say that credit card 6, 7, and 8 do still have the massive amounts of payments I paid for fertility treatments when I was going through that when I was getting pregnant. So those bills were really high and I did get them through my divorce. And that was like most of these. Was that medical cost. I mean, since I haven't paid them off and I pay interest every month, I'm really just paying more in the long run. This one includes most of that, plus some other things. I had to buy a computer for work. This one is $8,174.07. And the interest on this one is $24.74. This is the credit card debt, and this is the debt snowball order. I am going to put the total at the bottom. Today is the 7th. I'm doing this on Saturday night, so you guys can see it tomorrow. So I just wanted to know like what day I started on. Now we're gonna add these up and see what our total is, and then we'll try to figure out how to work the snowball into my budgeting and some ideas I have for making more money or really making this happen for real. Okay, so we're gonna add these up. We have 572.23. That number hurts so bad. The total I'm getting is, oh man. Yeah, I think I've added like almost 3,000 this year, which is the exact opposite of what I was trying to do. Although, like I said, it does include the business ones. It's $20,826.29 of credit card debt only. I had this idea I might be able to do this in 1 year, but looking at that number and what I make, honestly, if I lived super frugally, I might be able to, but I can't guarantee that. I think, okay, I'm gonna double check the numbers real quick and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. We are getting the same number. So that is our grand total here is $20,826.29. Not great. Now we know what we're looking at and now we have to think of a plan. The only thing I realized that this debt tracker is missing is a place to create a plan. So I still have it in my head about making a budget book. And now that I've kind of been playing more with making pages, I feel like I have a better idea of how to do this. And definitely, I think if you're going to do a debt summary, it would be nice to have a page where you could write your goals for how you want to achieve it. I'm trying to think about, I don't want this to get too messy, but I do have a couple solid ideas. I could put them in the goals section, but I'm not sure about that. So we're waffling here. So one of the first things I thought about is I am going to start getting YouTube paychecks, Etsy paychecks. Those will vary, but I'm already living without that money. So I thought that would be a great way to help this problem. So I think what my YouTube paychecks especially are going to be, well, you have to take out money for tax. After you take out money for tax, I'm going to split what's left over. Half is going to go into my emergency fund that I set up on my high yield savings account. And the other half is going to go to an extra Snowball payment. So for example, let's say I made $100 on YouTube. I would keep 30 for estimated taxes, and then I would break up the rest of that 70. So I'd throw 35 in my savings account, and the other 35, I would just make just an extra credit card payment. So that's the first plan. Let me write that down. So our financial goals are going to focus on debt payoff. Okay, so that big goal is going to be after taxes, I will put half of any in the YouTube and Etsy income that I make extra Snowball payment. And I'm going to do that every month. I should say every month I get paid because, you know, I might not always get paid. You have to meet a threshold. So that is the first big goal towards paying off debt. The second way I want to focus on giving myself extra money to pay off debt is something I did start doing last year, which was utilizing both paychecks. So as you know, right now, my 15th paycheck is the one where I pay all my credit card bills. And my first paycheck, I only pay one credit card bill, which is actually the second credit card I'm going to work on. What I did before, which really helped me, was the second paycheck of the month, I just made my regular credit card payment. And then my first paycheck is when I took out an extra debt Snowball, and I'm going to keep that theme. I'm going to reverse with this credit card because it's the only one I pay on the first. Unless I pay that, I'm start paying that a month ahead, but that's fine. I don't want to get too complicated here because I tend to do that. Second goal is my second goal is going to be I will make a debt Snowball payment with my first paycheck of the month. I give myself a range because if you've been watching my channel, you've noticed my paychecks can vary widely, especially, I mean, sometimes it can be a difference of over $1,000 a paycheck, which is a huge blow. But I could probably at least do 25. It would mean like cutting back on what's rollover in my account, but that's okay. I'm going to try to make my range between 25 and 100 to get started. And as money gets better, things get better, then I can raise that. But we're trying to undergoal myself in order to achieve it. Because I think last year I made all these lofty goals, really couldn't achieve them. So, I mean, 25 to 100 is pretty doable. So that is my second plan on how I'm going to add money. I'm going to stick with these two for now and just see how it goes. Because again, I'm going to kind of undergoal myself and work up. So these are the two ways I'm going to come up with extra money. One will be the YouTube paychecks and Etsy. I'll put half of that as just an extra payment. Have my debt Snowball payment on the first paycheck, which will vary depending on how much money I have. And then third one is just making the minimum payment. So that means as the credit cards, as we go through the debt Snowball, these credit cards should get paid 3 times in a month now. So we're going to be paying on the 1st, we're going to be paying on the 15th, and then we're going to be paying, I think YouTube pays around the 21st. That's good. That's like 3 payments. So how I'm going to do it, because there's only 12 spots, there's basically a spot for each month. Let's say in January 1st, I paid 70, and then I paid 30, and then I was able to pay an extra 30. I'll just list them out like here as like 3 sections, but that is the goal, to pay the credit cards 3 times a month with those goals that I have, and then just knock them out, man. The next thing I'm going to do is just list them out here to get them started. I'll do that off camera and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. So I went ahead and added my debt snowball in order. We're going to start with credit card 1, which is $572. I already budgeted for January 1st paycheck. I don't have the snowball payment for the 1st, so the snowball payment is going to start on the 2nd. However, I know I'm going to get a YouTube paycheck, so January will only have 2 payments. Starting in February, we will kick in with the 3 payments. And then that made me realize I didn't make one of the most important goals, which would be how much would I like to try to pay off this year? And ideally, I want to say I want to pay half. Like I would love to pay $10,000 this year. Half would be a huge difference. It would be a huge difference in the monthly payments. It would probably, I mean, honestly, if you looked at it, paying $10,000 would knock off pretty much almost all these credit cards, if not part of this one too, because I would enter 2024 with just a big one. I mean, that one in itself takes up about half and, okay. Every time I look at that, I do kind of want to cry. I'm not going to lie, but we got to keep the course here because we are making it work. We're going to make it work. We're going to work hard. So I don't know if 10,000 is doable, but it would be awesome. It would be ideal. So I'm going to, again, kind of undergoal myself. And I'm going to also do what I did here, where I'm going to give myself a range. And I realized like these are going to go down naturally just through the monthly payments, but I'm going to think about the extra payments I would like to make. Okay, so this is kind of worded weird, but I said my goal is going to be in 2023. I would like to make the goal of paying an extra towards credit card payments. Of the low end would be at least $2,500 extra this year, and the high end would be $5,000 this year. Even those would mean that I was leaving, $2,500 would still take away the first few, right? 5,000 would still take away a chunk. So that would still be good and would help. It would definitely lessen the burden from the 15th paycheck, right? So those are the 3 debt payoff goals. I have one more thing that I've done. So other than finding these extra ways to throw money and deciding I am going to pay each credit card 3 times a month through these methods, the other thing I have done was pick up more work. So I've been adding more open spots to my schedule. If you don't know, I'm a pediatric OT. So working more is going to help. So I am trying to add more. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. So this is the focus. Oh, there is one more thing. So I guess there's 5 things other than, I've just been trying to think of how else can I get money. This one is kind of controversial to me in my head, which is I am going to have to redo my sinking funds. I will do that next video. And I'm going to pare down my sinking funds to the essentials, like things I want to have cash for. But I don't think I need all my books right now. I really think that I need to focus more on this besides throwing hundreds of dollars a paycheck towards sinking funds. So, controversial thing is, once I figure out which sinking funds are going to stay and which ones are going to be kind of tucked away, at least for 6 months while I get some of this down a little bit, I was wondering if I should pull the money from those sinking funds and allocate that as a first big payment towards this first credit card. Do I actually have the money to pay off this credit card right now? And would that be smart? So that's been floating through my head as well. Going to see, but I'm definitely going to have to change the sinking funds around. And maybe I should make that a goal during debt payoff 2023, which is kind of like the way I'm thinking of this year. This is like debt payoff time. Okay, so that is, I'm going to restructure my sinking funds to just top priority ones to help me keep my focus on my debt snowball. Top priority ones in my head right now are the medical, so I have that money for my medicine, or bills and debt, because it's nice to have that extra money there. Taxes is an important one. Riley's going to be important because she does have her like annual medical thing coming up in April. As you can see, there are ones that I think it'll just be nice to kind of pull cash from each paycheck and keep aside, and that's how I'm going to determine, but that'll be next video. We'll get into the sinking fund portion. And this was just credit card. I'll link my last below where I updated my medical, but my medical bills are actually paid off now. Those are 0. So I had been paying $186 and change every 15th paycheck towards my hospital bill. I've been paying an extra like 90 or 70 something towards a follow-up visit. Those are gone. That in itself, I did manage to pay that few $1,000s off last year. That was a great win for me. I'm really happy about that. and it's just not here anymore. Other things that aren't included here is I do still owe my mom some money for my lawyer fees, but she's just, you know, really lenient with me and asking for it. I mean, she's my mom, so I think she just appreciates when I give it to her, but that family envelope will stay as a priority, so I can, you know, keep that in mind that I do want to pay her back. It doesn't include student loans. I have started paying back some student loans. Keep student loans off the table because most of my debt is student loans, but I just wanted to really, as you can see, I'm just trying to keep it simple. And right now the focus is on credit cards. I feel like I have a plan now. I feel like I've come up with some extra ways to make extra money. I like that I have a system of paying each credit card 3 times a month. I think that's really going to make a difference. I'm excited to knock this down. It'll be so rewarding to be able to check off the paid off box. But all right, we are just going to get into it straight away. On the 15th, we'll make our regular payment and we'll go from there. And then we'll see what the YouTube paycheck looks like as well on the 21st. But okay, you guys, that is it for this video. I want to shout out to all the budgeting YouTubers out there that have made these videos or expose their debt. I can tell you right now that I feel a certain level of anxiety. I feel a certain level of shame and fear. And there is hope in there. There's that positive thing, but those feelings are there. I can feel them now. At this moment of thinking about how many budget YouTubers have sat down and made this exact video. So props to you guys for putting your debt out there. It has helped me watch other people pay off their debt and be honest and just open about where they're at. And I've just kind of being in the position of filming my own. I feel ya. I kind of get like, it is a little nerve-wracking, but it's important. I think it's valuable for people who are paying off debt. It's just, you know, having that support and creating a place where people can go and be supported. So yeah, shout out to all you YouTubers as well as the audience. You guys keep me here. You guys keep me going. And I thank you guys for this. I hope everybody is doing well. You're having a good weekend. I will see you in my next video where we will reorganize those sinking funds. Bye.